He could have just pressed fix economy and make it perfect button. It's right there on his desk. In almost 4 years, he just decided not to. It's debate review. I feel like I haven't done a debate review in a little while, so I wanted to do it. I stumbled upon this debate between Sticks and Hammer or whatever, and a guy named Armand. I have no clue who this Armand guy is. Armand Domaluski? Not the goddamn Lusky, dude. Sticks doing debates again? Apparently, I guess. I don't think he's a content creator or anything. He actually just seems to be a guy. He actually just seems to be some guy who lives in San Francisco. So I mean, that's a really cool thing. I'm happy for him. He debated this YouTuber guy, Sticks. Debate bros need a chow. I'm a bit of a debate bro too. Okay. I've done debates before. Quite a few, in fact, all right? Debates that break the rules. I don't know, apparently this is like a debate person. Well, I mean, like they stream debates fairly often. Oh, Dylan was on here a couple months ago. Interesting. Here, let me show you what I'm looking at right now. Is this, okay? From Break the Rules. Haven't heard of these guys before. But they are around. Crime debate with AJW and Nick of Revolutionary Blackout Network. This sounds like the worst debate to ever exist. This sounds like the worst debate to ever exist. Are you serious? Oh, that's crazy. Oh no, crunch. But anyways, I wanted to look at this debate. It's just a 1 hour debate, so it's pretty simple. It's on Biden's accomplishments, basically. So this dude, Armand, don't know who he is, guy from San Francisco, and like Dick Sexenhammer, YouTuber, are going to debate about whether or not this Joseph R. Biden Jr. guy did a good job when it comes to being the president and whatnot. And then this guy is gonna be the moderator. Okay, super simple. All right. I think we might be able to skip ahead a little bit. I forget. I think they have intros, but the intros may be like lame as hell. And Armand is kind of like really quiet, so you might have to listen a little intently. But I'm going to try to put the closed captions on, so if you miss something, it should be able to be picked up. I think I said don't recommend this channel to me when one of these videos popped up. What a hater!
Full debate about President Joseph Biden's accomplishments, and we have, as always, Sticks
Joseph R. Biden Jr.
Hexenhammer 666, and we got Armand Domalewski, who has been on the stream before. Really cool dude. I may disagree about the imbiest tendencies of Armand, but I am very thankful for the fact that you are here today to have this debate. Now, just a little bit about yourself, Armand. You live in San Francisco, and what kind of things do you do, and how exactly did you get into this? And then we're going to go right into the debate. Don't forget to like, subscribe,
what things do you do?
Patreon.com/breaktherules. You know the whole spiel. Anyway, Armand.
What do you do?
Go for it, my friend.
Who are you?
Sure. I'm a data analyst in San Francisco. I work for a large tech company. I used to work in politics and policy, working on accounting policy, as well as like local campaigns and national ones. And so I got into this through that. And I also just tweet a lot.
Professional
right.
Twitter user.
As far as the Biden's accomplishments go, I do want to start with you, Armand. We can talk about different things. One of these could be immigration. I mean, that's been a very, very big subject right now. So would you like to start off with that aspect of Biden's administration?
I mean, I wouldn't describe like immigration policy as like one of Biden's big accomplishments. I think Biden has done a lot given the constraints he has to make things better. But obviously, immigration has been like a really contentious and difficult issue. I'll start with the things I think he's done well. I think prior to Biden coming to office, there's a lot of, Trump administration's general philosophy was to try to shut things down as much as possible, but also without really understanding how the court system works. So there's a lot of procedures where like they attempted to do Section 212F to shut down all immigration, and the courts are like, well, no, it doesn't work that way. It's a lot harder. Halting starts and stops, and you saw, for example, like there were 5,000 families that were separated during that process that many of them never got reconnected. Their kids were like lost their parents, families that were totally disconnected, things like that. And I think
they were trafficked. They were trafficked or put in the Obama cages.
They were trafficked. Okay, so this is really okay. So here's one thing. I've watched a little bit of this, and it's this Sticks. He makes such weird claims. Okay. He makes such weird claims, but the thing is, he does it so confidently. I feel like a lot of people may buy into a lot of the things that he's saying. So he's saying that a lot of children that came in undocumented and get funneled through our immigration systems have just been human trafficked into like Epstein's Island 2 Electric Boogaloo, or are working on like turnip plantation somewhere in New Mexico, and they're just gone, just simply gone, and that's just it. We'll touch on it.
I mean, they were put in detention camps because that's what the law requires, is the detention specifically. Like, that's part of the reason that like this border bill was such a contentious thing, is because right now the law requires you to be detained if you come to the border, but we never had the funding level to do it. And so when they exceed capacity at the border, they end up releasing people. And also they were staying, the reason there's like not capacity is because they're staying in the cages for such a long time, because like you either have to release them or you can detain, but then they need to get a hearing, but then you don't have judges, you don't have asylum officers, like the system's not, built to process it. But to talk about like the positive things, I think there's been a lot of things on, for example, like high-skilled immigration visas, a lot of reforms on like rationalizing the way that H-1Bs work. It used to be previously done much more. Like, for example, a recent rule change that was happening around it is that it used to be really incentivized to dump a lot of like, basically, it's very hard to optimize them for a specific role. And so you saw them gain by like large staffing companies that would just like pour in a ton of people with not necessarily that it's need. They've done reforms to change that and to rationalize it. And to prioritize those based on like the highest level of skill need. I think they've also significantly improved like the refugee process. So like the best way to handle asylum or refugee claims is to have people come in through like a legal and vetted process. And through things like temporary parole status, for example, there's like a huge surge of Venezuelan immigrants coming because the economy is falling apart. By giving that status, it reduced the flow of people who are coming in chaotically across the border. So I think like, within the legal limits of what Biden has been able to do, he has like rationalized and reduced the chaos as much as possible. But the fundamental problem is that there are like we outdated laws that are not built to address like modern immigration issues.
Can I counter that? I would say that Joe Biden, if he were smart, he would simply have kept up with the Trump era laws and built more wall and put more staff on the border, and we wouldn't have the current crisis that we have. We've got a record number of people.
Kept up with Donald Trump. If he kept up with Donald Trump's, this is so funny. If he kept up with Donald Trump's tendencies and like rules on the border, then there would be less border wall now. He wouldn't have built basically any border wall. Biden has put through more border wall than Trump has. He's built more border wall than Donald Trump has. Here, let me see. I know that's just simply a lie right there. We can learn a decent amount of this. A decent amount from this too. So I like doing debate reviews like this. Immigration, actually, I want to do here. Can I just do how many Border Patrol agents are there? Right now there's 21,000. Can I get a chart? A lot of these end in 2020, so we don't have a lot of information on this. I'm seeing a lot of the ones that just end in 2020, so I don't know. Right now there's 21,000. Agents are there. I don't know. Let's do like 20. What do you think a good number is for Trump? 2019? Oh, we can do last year of his presidency, right? 2020. So in fiscal year 2020, there was 19,000 Border Patrol agents. In 2022, there are like slightly less. There's like a couple hundred less, it seems. It was just basically the same amount. On Wikipedia here, it says right now there are 21,000 Congress mandated agents. So that would be more. That would be more. So Biden has more. Okay.
Pouring across. They're being processed in the United States and then let go of, as opposed to remain in Mexico. That policy was abolished effectively. And so the problem really is, I don't have a problem with asylum seekers. Somebody comes over from Cuba, wet foot, dry foot. Somebody comes from a commie country. They come into the nation and they legitimately, they want to get away from socialism, which everyone in their right mind would want to do. I have no problem with them whatsoever. The problem is that a person can simply toss their passport into the Rio Grande, say, hey, I'm from Venezuela or some other place that a safe third country wouldn't apply to, and they can simply wander across the border. Now, once they're across, because there are so many people coming in, it's impossible to process them all. So what do? They detain a handful of these people. The rest are let go of. We had a report last year, and I don't know if you saw it, up to a third of all of the unaccompanied minors coming across the border who are released to a guardian, they can't make contact with the so-called guardian within the United States. These people are being trafficked.
Okay, I'm gonna pause right there. I want to listen to that one more time because there's a couple things, and yeah, that was a crazy claim, and we'll dig into that.
Into the Rio Grande, say, hey, I'm from Venezuela or some other place that a safe third country wouldn't apply to, and they can simply wander across the border. Now, once they're across, because there are so many people coming in, it's impossible to process them all.
Yeah, it's not impossible to process everybody coming over the border. We simply don't process everybody that's coming over the border because we don't put enough money towards building, because we haven't put enough money over time towards building enough infrastructure to be able to take in all those people humanely. So yeah, when those like concentration camps that we have on the border fill up, you're going to have to let people go in some way, right? Give them a court date and tell them to come back, and most people do actually just come back. So I know like a lot of conservative leaning people on this issue don't like that idea, but most people don't go on the run in the United States. They usually, when they're given a court date, they come back. Far more likely than not, the vast majority do. So that's not even really a problem. And yeah, we should increase immigration courts to process their claims faster. We should have as many as possible to process their claims as fast as possible. Yes.
So what do? They detain a handful of these people. The rest are let go of. We had a report last year, and I don't know if you saw it. Up to a third of all of the unaccompanied minors coming across the border who are released to a guardian, they can't make contact with the so-called guardian within the United States. These people are being trafficked. It's not give us your huddled masses, you're tired and poor. It's basically, hey, give us your kids and we're going to Moloch them, basically. They're being trafficked at the moment. They're in sweatshops or they're being prostituted or something like that.
Okay, so that's like a massive claim, okay? Yo, one in chat if you've heard of this claim before. Because I'm going to be completely honest with you, until I watched this debate, I had never heard of that before. It's pretty deep into like the anti-immigration rabbit hole there, like that specific claim. I had not heard it before, but it is an actual claim that people make. So I want to pull this up for you really quick. Okay. So where this comes from is a New York Times article. Let me see if I can pull up the article super quick. Yes, it's another New York Times article. Yeah, here we go. So this is the article. Alone and exploited, migrant children work brutal jobs across the U.S. It talks about Christian works a construction job instead of going to school. He's 14, right? Yeah, all this stuff. Carolina packages Cheetos at night in a factory. All this like child labor violations and whatnot. Terrible stuff. But I want to bring up one thing here, if I can. 85. Here we go. Because here's where the claim is. These are not children who have stolen into the country undetected. The federal government knows they are here. The federal government knows that they are in the United States, and the Department of Health and Human Services is responsible for ensuring sponsors will support them and protect them from trafficking or exploitation. But more and more children have arrived, and the Biden White House has ramped up demands on staffers to move children quickly out of shelters and release them to adults. Caseworkers say they rush through vetting sponsors, while HHS checks on all minors by calling them a month after they begin living with their sponsors. Data obtained by the Times shows that over the last 2 years, the agency could not reach more than 85,000 children. Overall, the agency lost immediate contact with a third of migrant children. An HHS spokeswoman said the agency wanted to release children swiftly for the sake of their well-being, but had not compromised safety. There are numerous places along the process that continually ensure the placement is in the best interest of the child, right? All this type of stuff, okay? Okay, so here's something, all right? Is this concerning? The answer is yes. This part is a bit concerning. Let me highlight this because this is something that's important to know. But also what's important to know is that most of the people who they are being released to are direct family members, either family members who have been in the United States or have immigrated to the United States recently. And on top of that, this statement needs a little bit of context because when I went digging for it, I found something super weird. So here's this article here. Under Joe Biden, have 85,000 undocumented children gone missing. That was the claim that Styx just made. They are missing. They're gone. They're gone, dude. They're on Epstein Island 2. Electric Glide. It's sad. It's a sad thing. So, but I want to check out to see if that actually holds any merit, so we can look into this. All right, this article here, it kind of starts here. There are a number of things to unpack here. To start, the figure appears to be sourced from a New York Times article published in February 2023. We read this part of the article. All of this is important. This is where the 85,000 quote missing figure appears to have come from. All right. While HHS checks on all minors be living in the to be living with their sponsors, data obtained by the Times shows that in the last 2 years, the agency has not been able to reach over 85,000 children. Overall, the agency lost immediate contact with a third of migrant children. Newsweek has contacted the author to ask for that data. The author never responded. As the article states, if an undocumented child is referred to HHS, more specifically the Office of Refugee Resettlement or OR, efforts are then made to put them in the care of a sponsor. As an HHS fact check released in 2023 confirms, as soon as children enter OR care, they are put in the contact with their parents, guardians, or relatives if known, and the process of finding a suitable sponsor begins. The vast majority of sponsors are a parent or close family relative in the United States. After these minors are put into the care of a sponsor, OR then carries out safety and well-being calls to follow up with the arrangement. Or in a 2023 OR audit, it stated, even though children and sponsors are not required to engage in the call and information may no longer be reliable, OR makes at least 3 separate attempts to contact all available phone numbers of both the child and the sponsor. The audit claimed that OR was able to reach a sponsor or the child or both in more than 80% of cases. This is slightly confusing and doesn't seem to fit with the figures provided by the New York Times. HHS states that in the last 2 years, they tracked by state, 235,000 unaccompanied children were placed and sponsored. However, as the February 2023 Times report says, in the last 2 years, the agency lost about a third of children, 85,000 children, and that's nowhere near the 80% that the HHS's own audit said that didn't respond to their follow-up call. Okay, that's basically all this is. And so here's one thing: where in this does it say that they're being human trafficked? Okay, where does it say that? Where does it say that they're busy in some person's basement with a gun to their head making like, I don't know, making like goddamn Nike shoes? Who knows? Okay, are there a lot of children who come into the United States who somehow get exploited, either working for a job that they shouldn't be, that they're too young for, or something else? Yeah, probably a lot. Too many. One is too many. But to say that like 1/3 Biden is missing and losing 1/3 of children that are now working in slave mines, digging for like blood diamonds in Colorado somewhere, is just so wildly untrue. It just doesn't even make any sense. And it seemed like and I'm honestly more inclined to believe that the New York Times article is wrong after how many bad New York Times articles have come out recently with bad data or non-existent data to try to make the claims that they think that they are. Okay, so that's just what we have there. The HHS said themselves they're able to reach 80%. They said themselves they're able to reach 80%. So I am, and who's to say that the other 20% are being trafficked? Who knows? If the only thing he's saying is that the kids come into the US and then they get trafficked, then why doesn't he just claim that everybody's getting trafficked? Okay, I'm getting trafficked. He's getting trafficked. We're all getting trafficked. Chat, poggers in chat if you're getting human trafficked right now, because honestly, you probably are. We're all getting human trafficked right now, and it's the saddest thing ever. And honestly, it's all Joseph R. Biden's fault. Fuck you, Biden. I don't like being trafficked. You piece of shit. If Donald Trump was in office, I wouldn't be trafficked, huh? I just wouldn't have healthcare. And that's way better than getting trafficked. And if that's his metric for figuring out who's getting trafficked and who's not, then how would that make any sense? Well, why not just if they knew that, oh, they're gonna be suspicious if we don't pick up the phone, why don't you just pick up the phone and go, yeah, hello, Biden administration, yes, the child is very safe, they're totally not under my floorboards right now in my oubliette, forcing them to mine oil by hand in the basement, turning a large wheel that they're chained to as I follow them with a whip that I smack at the back of their neck. No, Mr. Biden, I have never done that. Thank you. Sanchez. Yeah, like what? Well, how do you even figure this out? This shit doesn't even make any sense. That's such an incredible claim to make, just so you know. To just be like, oh, like 85,000 children in the last 2 years are being human trafficked by a massive pedo ring. Like, how do you know that?
And I think it's sick. I don't think that it's merciful or kind. And I think that Biden has completely failed on the issue. And by the way, a supermajority of Americans feel the same.
Honestly, on these types of issues, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't care what what your average American feels. Your average American on these issues is simply wrong. Your average American doesn't keep up with like news and charts and these type of stuff. They go to work, they come home, and they post a picture of their feet on Facebook for their like family members, for for Aunt Clementine or something. Okay, that's what they do. If you ask a majority of Americans, is crime going up or down? They'll tell you that we're more dangerous than goddamn El Salvador. Okay, they'll tell you that walking outside, they could easily get just randomly shot in the head by King Thugger. Okay, that's what your average American will tell you when you ask them how's crime doing in the country, even though it's at historic record lows. Just because your average American feels something, it actually means nothing to me. I hate to be the one to say it.
Armand, do you agree with Styx as far as Biden should have kept the Trump policies?
Well, I think the mistake around that is that, like, for example, Remain Mexico. One, is they're really fully implemented because Mexico only agreed to like a specific type set of immigrants that would qualify for it. So they're like, if you come from these countries and meet these criteria, we'll do Remain in Mexico. But then they don't. Like, that program was already falling apart because it was exceeding Mexico's capacity. The pandemic then happened, which is like ultimately was shut down. A lot of people point to like, oh, immigration went down. It's like that is what caused like the big drop. And now they're trying to, negotiation potentially start Remain Mexico. But the issue is that Mexico has like pretty high conditions for it. Like Mexico doesn't want to do Remain Mexico policy because it means that a ton of people stay there for a very long time. And so like their demands right now are provide 10 million, provide citizenship status or path to citizenship for 10 million documented immigrants, restore end the Cuban embargo and the Venezuelan embargo, and like send Mexico and Latin America billions and billions of dollars, which like some of those things, like I think the Cuban embargo is stupid, should remove it anyway. But those are things usually the people who support Remain in Mexico don't support those things. You can't just like force Mexico to do Remain in Mexico. As far as the like staffing stuff, like yeah, I totally agree. Like we need a lot more folks, especially like asylum officers and immigration judges, because like really the big problem is that we have these rules. Like the theoretical idea of this is supposed to be like a big war happens and a bunch of people come across and they get an asylum hearing and then a judge processes them and so on. But that's supposed to take months, but ends up happening years. And then you either have a situation where there's like these massive camps across the border that people stay in for a long time, but then even that gets overextended, or you.
I will say a Biden failure on this is actually that border bill that they tried to pass. Instead of making the immigration process better for migrants, they just wanted to make it faster instead. So now you can have your rights violated even quicker by the United States government instead of being able to actually have your court case heard by an actual judge. I actually think that was a big problem from Biden. But what do you expect? He is Biden after all.
Of people in the country. And the truth is that the majority of people do end up attending their asylum hearings for the simple fact that like they don't want to get deported and having.
Yeah, but under the latest bill, I guess the Secretary of State can arbitrarily decide that a person is eligible for asylum anyway. What I'm wondering is though, how is this a Biden accomplishment? Because that's sort of the parameter of our debate is Biden's accomplhaments, right? We're talking about the border at the moment. If you're saying that the whole situation.
And just so you know, if Armand made any Biden accomplishments, Styx just doesn't pick any of them up. An increase in high skilled immigration visas, that's accomplishment. Streamline the refugee process, that is also an accomplishment. Those are two real accomplishments. I think if somebody told you that we streamlined and simplified the refugee status line, like processing line that we have for people there, I think they would all say yes, that's a good thing. High-skilled immigration visas and high-skilled workers coming to the country, I think people would say that that's a good thing. That's two accomplishments that Styx has nothing to say for right now. I don't even think he understood what the accomplishments were.
As messy as hell, then how is that a Biden accomplishment? I just don't understand.
Yeah, man, Biden hasn't fixed the country. He hasn't made the country perfect. So honestly, we should kill him.
I think Lev.
Yeah, we can move on to other. We can move on to other points.
I think it's a. Given the parameters we have, he has stemmed the bleeding as much as he can. But
I disagree completely.
All right, we can move on. We can move from Armand. Joe Biden's top 5 accomplishments. Number 1, passage of the American Rescue Plan, which supercharged growth and led to record low unemployment. Armand, any comments on that? And then we're going to go to Styx.
Also, I graduated college around 2013, and I actually entered college in 2008.
Not the
during
Yap
Great
session.
Financial crisis, and so I have like one of my strongest memories that has shaped the way I see the world and politics is the experience of like my family almost losing everything, horrible unemployment, years and years of grind. Like even by 2013, like getting a job took forever. I was like living in my car. It was awful, and unemployment stayed above like 9-10% for a very long time. It really took almost like a decade to recover. Then we had the pandemic, and I was terrified because like the unemployment was like skyrocketing even more than what we saw during the Great Financial Crisis, and all I could see was another 10 years of struggling to get jobs, struggling to get higher wages. But we learned the lessons from that. Both first, like under Trump with the CARES Act, and then like the American Rescue Plan, where we said last time we were so worried about spending too much money, we didn't spend enough, and unemployment was in the toilet for a very long time. This time we understood that it was better to take the risk on the higher end, and we were able to restore, like, go back to the pre-pandemic growth trajectory way faster. And in fact, we are still far above our peers, like in the entire world. If you look at like unemployment rate, wage growth, like economic performance for the United States versus like the UK in particular, but Germany, Japan, like all our peer countries are like kicking their ass. And we've also seen is that this has particularly been helpful for like working class folks. And so like the fastest wage growth that's happened in real terms, like that's after you take into account inflation, for people who are the bottom 25%. People who were screwed for a really long time, they actually are like worse than people like me who are like, I'm very fortunate, like I make a good tech income and all that, but like relatively speaking, those folks have been seeing like the biggest gains, and that's something I think is a huge accomplishment.
Okay.
I would definitely love to respond to that. First and foremost, yes,
Here we go.
unemployment is low. It was already dropping like a rock when Trump left office. It had already dropped considerably, and he didn't need anything in particular to cause that to happen. That was because furloughed workers simply came back on the job. It was a temporary loss due to the stupidity of lockdownerism, which
Okay, so who cares? Why'd you bring up the point? Well, something that Donald Trump couldn't control dropped unemployment. How about that? Well, Biden wasn't able to get like a freak accident to become like a kind of good thing in one metric when evaluating the economy. So some Biden W, right? Okay. All right.
which was largely
So true. If this is his argument, then like, hey, listen, less hurricanes have hit the country under Biden's presidency than Trump's presidency. So I just want to know why Donald Trump is pro fucking hurricane, because that shit seems ass. That shit seems ass, dude. You remember what Katrina did? That guy's pro hurricane. He let more hurricanes hit the country than Biden did. So that's an accomplishment for Biden, I think.
state level, by the way. Biden has not done anything to move that trajectory whatsoever. He's spent a lot of funny money. The problem is that a lot of the job creation we're seeing now is people taking out second.
His claim, Biden has not done anything to help the unemployment. Well, there are several bills that he passed that helped increase jobs in America, from like the CHIPS Act to the American Rescue Plan to the infrastructure bill. There are lots of things that passed that helped drop immigration. Yes, 100%. And Donald Trump got like one bill passed in his entire 2 years of being the president.
Second jobs.
Sorry, 4 years. He got like one bill passed in like 2017.
And I'm thinking to myself, if I were like working class, before Biden inflation, okay, maybe I'm making ends meet. Now all of a sudden everything's twice as expensive. Well, shit, what do I have to do? You've got two choices. You can take out credit.
My man is telling a story right now. He's regaling us about working class lore.
Credit card debt, which a lot of people are, and there's a debt bubble that's actually looming because of Biden's inflationary policies, or you can get a second job, a side hustle, something part-time. I would note that a lot of the new job creation is part-time jobs. In fact, it's virtually all of it. That's number one. Number two.
It's virtually all of it. How do you know that? How do you know that? How in the world do you know that? Do you Okay, how in the world do you know that? I'm pretty sure that the majority of new jobs that wait 1 second. I need to hear that again.
Actually looming because of Biden's inflationary policies, or you can get a second job, a side hustle, something part-time. I would note that a lot of the new job creation is part-time jobs. In fact, it's virtually all of it. It
doesn't make any sense. What do you mean the new job creation is mostly part-time jobs? Job creation is just when a job opportunity opens up. But he's saying most of them are part-time jobs. Let me even see if that's true. Because I don't actually, I don't even believe that's true. Full-time, part-time employment. Okay, so here's a graph. Here's this graph. We can just take a look at this real quick. Full-time versus part-time employment. So the dark bar is you're working more than 35 hours. The light blue bar is you're working less than 35 hours. And under Biden, it is up. Okay. All right then. Yeah, this is what we call a lie. Call a lie. Yeah, like full-time jobs, like the full-time jobs are down. But also, ever since the pandemic hit, people were like, hey, I think I kind of want to work. Here's interesting, very interesting. Yeah, part-time jobs are kind of down, but it's not like, full-time jobs are down, but it's not like part-time jobs have like jumped dramatically in that same time frame. You know something that's really interesting actually is that a lot of people are working part-time jobs now, not because they can. Some people are working part-time jobs because they can only find part-time jobs. But a lot of people are working part-time jobs. You know why? Because they kind of want to do other things. A lot of people cut their hours themselves. They specifically ask for their hours to be cut. I'm actually one of those people who asked for my hours to be cut back when I was back when I was working a job, which was recently and under Biden. I asked for my hours to be cut because I wanted to spend more time doing, YouTube and Twitch and everything, right? So, and there are some people who do that to like support their families, and people buying houses have really gone up too. So there's a lot of people who are now like dealing with kids or getting the house ready and stuff, and they would like to have like part-time jobs. On top of that, people are like millennials are starting to take care of their parents, and they take part-time jobs because of that. Now, can that be a problem for the economy? Sure. Yeah, but I don't think Biden has anything to do with like grandma getting older. I don't think he can put grandpappy's ashes in the Lazarus pit to bring him back. I don't think he can do that, unfortunately. Or maybe that's a Biden L. Should we put that in the Biden L category? Hasn't found the Lazarus pit yet to bring back Mima. I can be charitable and I can do that for him.
That's number one. Number two. To say that the Biden's rescue plan actually helped anything is sort of like saying that the infrastructure plan did. We're talking about Biden's accomplishments. The problem is that when all of it. That's number one. Number two. To say that the Biden's rescue plan actually helped anything is sort of like saying that the infrastructure plan did. We're talking about Biden's accomplishments. The problem is that when you look at
but the infrastructure plan did. What are you talking about? Yes, you like construction companies and civil engineering firms and all of these. Yes, the government investing in the private sector does usually help increase jobs. Yes, when things need to get done, people usually open up jobs for that thing to get done. That's kind of okay. Anyways,
accomplishments in a political sense, they can be either nonpartisan or partisan. So you would have something that the vast bulk of the majority of the population supports. That would be an objective accomplishment. Okay, so 70% of the public thinks it's a great thing.
No. What? That's wait. An objective An objective accomplishment is something that makes accomplishments are things that most people think are good. I wouldn't agree with that. Just because people think that they're good doesn't mean it's actually good. Well, then you have to determine what is actually good. I mean, yeah, you can get into that a little bit with, I think there are some things that we can kind of agree with that are good, but how those things get politicized, that completely changes. You can't just ask a poll. You can't just make a poll and be like, how do people feel right now? And think that that's just going to be a pure sample of if things are better or worse. If this is how it goes, then Donald Trump failed because the majority of Americans didn't like a lot of the policies that he put forward. A lot of the policies that he wanted to pass, the majority of Americans did not support. Let's just be honest there. So if that's the case, then Donald Trump had almost no actual accomplishments while being in office, especially from his own policy proposals, right? And when a certain president is in office, the other side says everything is bad, and it just goes back and forth. If you ask Democrats right now, they'll say the economy is way better. because Biden's president. If you go back, if like there's a Republican president in like the future, you know, we can only hope God will protect us from that. But if there's a Republican president in the future, you're going to see Republicans say the economy is great no matter what's happening, really. So no. What a stupid way to think of things being positive or not positive. That sticks. This is that stick guy. Yeah.
The problem with Biden's accomplishments, as you would label them, is that half of the public thinks that they're nuts. And so you may think of them as an accomplishment. Other Biden fans might think of them as accomplishments, whether you're
half the, like what? What?
partisan Democrat, maybe you lean left politically or something like that, you think it's a great thing,
This
but
is
not
the obsession.
understanding that there's the other side that thinks that they're terrible. And Trump had the same thing. Some of the things he accomplished, like when he put 3 justices on the Supreme Court. If you're a small R Republican or you lean right or something like that, you consider that an accomplishment. I consider it neutral myself as a non-Republican, of course. If you are a Democrat in the partisan sense, or you're a liberal or whatever, you probably think it's a terrible thing. So it's not really an objective accomplishment at all. It's partisan. It means nothing. I would say with regards to the...
What in the world is objective in politics besides raw numbers? We can't... Accomplishment, naming something an accomplishment is completely based on your political leanings. What do you mean? How can you call something an accomplishment while saying it's completely devoid of how you politically feel about an issue? What if half the country doesn't think feeding like poor children is a good thing? Okay, and Biden feeds poor children, but half the country, but it's only 50% approved of because half the country thinks that we should let children die. This is just hypothetical. Let's just say that. Would he say that feeding children then is not like an objectively good thing that a president did? That's not an accomplishment because half the country thinks that like poor kids should starve? Is that how that works out? I mean, Biden recently just passed the a summer school lunch program to help poor families who are having trouble feeding their kids get free food the same way or get free and or cheaper food the same way that would get when school was in session during the summer of this year 2024. But a lot of Republican legislatures and a lot of Republican governors opted their state out of that. Okay, so if that's the case, bringing it into the real world, is feeding poor children not objectively good because Republicans don't like the policy that was put in place to help feed poor children? Is it now a bad thing to feed? Can we say that it's not an accomplishment to feed poor children? Like what's happening? What is this debate?
Unemployment rate, yes, it's low. It was also very low under Donald Trump. You remember the quip that Obama had when he said, "Oh, Donald Trump is full of shit. He's not going to get unemployment down to 4%. He doesn't have an economic magic wand." And then he got it.
I don't know. What if okay, Len? All right, listen. What if we say then unemployment being too low is a bad thing too? Because if unemployment is too low, then that means there's nobody looking for a job, meaning that there's nobody to fill up new job spots when they open, and that's bad for the economy. Okay, well now no accomplishments exist. We have abolished accomplishments, chat. I hope you're excited.
Down below 4% for a couple of years.
What does he think? What does he think are objective accomplishments? I don't even know. I don't even know. I think it just depends on, like, if you go to Pew Research and it says that, like, I guess he can't say. I was going to say like over 50% is an accomplishment, but I guess that's not an accomplishment because half the country doesn't like it, right? So what's an accomplishment? Something that has like something that passed that has 90% approval? Is that an accomplishment? We did it, gang. We did it, Reddit. We abolished accomplishments.
Years, actually, under his
Thank
presidency.
God.
Well, I mean, that's an accomplishment. And he didn't need to do that with people taking out second jobs or barely being able to make ends meet. I would say that Trump has many accomplishments. Biden has none. I can look back through even presidents that I hate, like George W., Obama, Herbert Walker, Clinton. We haven't had a winning streak in a long time, other than, I would say, Trump's first term of 2. I can look back and I can find some redeeming qualities to them, which are nonpartisan. Obama, he stood out of the way of an energy boom. He normalized relations with Cuba. I give him credit for those. George W.
Wait. But a lot of Americans don't want normalization of our relations with Cuba. They want to keep an embargo on Cuba, and they want to destroy Cuba's government and possibly even overthrow Cuba's government for being too socialist and evil. That's not an accomplishment, dude. Too many Americans disagree with it. See how this works? It's so dumb.
Great diplomacy with Africa, forestalling what's happening now with China trying to colonize the eastern side of that continent. On that, he was a masterstroke of genius. Herbert Walker was occasionally...
What did he do? Wait.
Forestalling what's happening now with China trying to colonize...
Stalling China. He stalled China colonizing Eastern Asia? How? And why is he even talking about this right now? It's just like a complete yap session as well. This is not in the scope of what the debate. Honestly, this guy, he should have brought this back. Herbert Walker? Yeah, Herbert Walker Lincoln. Best president we ever had. Of course, dumbass. Well, they didn't teach you about him in school? Sounds about right. Sounds like a New Jersey education, honestly.
The eastern side of that continent. On that, he was a masterstroke of genius. Herbert Walker was occasionally humorous, et cetera, et cetera. I can't find a single thing that Joe Biden has done, though, that would be conceived of as an accomplishment except in a partisan context. That is, you already tend to support liberal policies and or the Democratic Party, and so you label it to be an accomplishment.
Now, quick aside, from what I was reading, the annual weekly earnings for private sector employees in nominal dollars went from, in 2016, $878, 2020 was $975, and 2024 it's $1,178.
Wow, it's almost like he lied. It's almost like he lied about things just being objectively always worse and it being Biden's fault. That's crazy how that works out, isn't it? You think people would do that? You think they would just open up their computer and begin lying just like that? You think people would open up their computer and turn on their camera and put on their dingy leather jacket and start lying to the internet? You think that people would do that? That's crazy.
So as far as jobs like that, though, like what would you say is no more Trump's doing, and now it's already in Biden's court as far as the kind of changes we've seen with the economy?
That's a terrible question for this one, because it stops him from being able to answer the question, because it gives him an out for being able to not answer how he can say that everything is worse when we have stats on how it's simply not.
So Sticks,
which one of us are you asking?
I'm asking you, Sticks, and then I want to go to Armand.
I would say that nothing that's happening right now has anything to do with Donald Trump. He hasn't been in office in over 3 years, so.
Okay, so Armand, let me know what you think of what Sticks said.
Sure. I mean, a couple of things. So first of all, when Trump left office, unemployment was 6.7%. And I think, what I do give Trump credit for is he did sign the CARES Act under his administration. And that is when unemployment started to fall. We had, the stimulus checks go out. We had sort of very aggressive unemployment insurance that was largely historically done, a lot of important investments done in the economy. And that's what, when unemployment, it wasn't just like a furloughing thing of people returning to work because of health stuff. It was also, we did basic macroeconomics of when there's low demand, when there's an economic shock, whether it's a financial crisis or in this case a pandemic, it might be caused by an external force, but the way an economy can recover is by having the government inject more money back in. That is how we got out of the, that recession. So
yes, actually, that's a good thing.
We stayed in the Great,
and it was actually great that we invested in our economy. So we didn't end up like the It was a great thing that we invested in our economy, because when we're too conservative and not reinvesting in the economy and thinking that everything's just going to work out, it doesn't. People who are poor stay poor, and there's no way for them to get out because all the opportunity that were in their area soaks up. And by the time opportunity starts to come back, what happens? And when the opportunities start to come back, what happens is that those people are usually pretty far behind. And so, yeah, it's actually really good that we invested in our economy, and a lot. Did some bad things happen because of that? Was that partly the cause of some inflation? There's a high likelihood that that's true, but is that a bad thing in comparison to what possibly could have happened if we didn't invest in our economy? Well, look at what happened after the global financial crisis of 2008. People were still recovering from it when the pandemic hit. There are many parts of the country that still didn't recover from that. And that's just not the case as much when it comes to after the pandemic hit, because we invested in our economy and we invested it in Americans more when they lost out on opportunities, their jobs, and a lot of other things. And a lot of other things when it comes to the economy. So yeah, it was really good that we did that. So he can like cackle as much as he wants. But at the end of the day, it's true. Investing in our economy made our economy better.
So long is because we didn't do it. The comparison you can see, you say, okay, well, what happened anyway is like we do have a natural experiment because the United States did way more of this than Canada, Germany, Japan, the UK. And what we see is that we have the best economic performance of any of those countries.
It's very true. This is actually really true. We invested in our economy a lot more than a lot of those other countries did, our sister nations, and we're doing better. If you think things are bad here, I mean, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Imagine being British, okay? Imagine being French. There's a reason why we call them Euro poors, okay? They're poor compared to us. Yes, our lives suck, but at least you're not European like that, dude. They got one thing on us, and it's healthcare. And outside of that, it's kind of over for them. Dude, you may get upset when you see like $3 gas, dude. That's a good day for them. They get like $9 gas. You don't even get it. You actually don't even understand what it's like to be a Euro poor. Okay? We're doing so much better than them. We're doing so much better than them because we invested in our people when they didn't and or couldn't because they're poor. Euro poor.
Can I just interject one thing? It sounds like you're giving Donald Trump credit actually for the
What?
American Rescue Plan for absorbing the unemployment.
The CARES Act happened under Trump. The American Rescue Plan happened under Biden. Both of them were good.
But it's so you're giving Trump credit because that
What? What? Oh, you're giving Trump credit for a bill he didn't sign after he was out of office, huh? No. Well, you're giving Trump credit, right? No. What?
absorbed a lot more.
And even if we were, who cares? They can both share credit for something. They can both do some good things about with the same exact problem since they were passing the torch. If Trump did a good thing and then Biden did a good thing too, that's an accomplishment. He did a good thing.
Employment.
I think he deserves credit for. I think he deserves credit for signing that at the time, and I think Biden deserves credit for signing the American Rescue Plan.
Well, to be clear, Utsticks, why are you...
Do Americans believe that Europe is a wasteland? No. No. A lot of Americans believe that Europeans are living better than them when in most of the time our dollar goes further and we're able to get more and have more things than Europe. We have less services, but we have more things. So you can just kind of, I mean, you can go back and forth on it. But yeah, compared to Europeans here in the US, we have more things, but they usually have some more services. But most people don't think it's a wasteland. Most people think that Europeans are doing better than us, but I personally think we're doing better than Europeans, especially if you talk about like British people.
Not giving credit to Biden for the American Rescue Plan.
I don't think that either of them had any measurable impact at the time. I think that the jobs...
Just so you know, that is a partisan belief about why he doesn't want to give Biden or Trump credit.
Portion of Trump's bill kept the economy afloat during a period where it shouldn't have needed to be kept afloat, and I opposed the lockdownerism at that time, and actually criticized Trump actually for his role in that, although it was mainly gubernatorial in nature. The states were the ones that were locking down. It wasn't at the federal level other than the travel ban. I'm just wondering...
There's the partisanness.
My God. I'm trying to wonder exactly what I'm supposed to give Biden credit for.
I think he's just lost, chat.
Actually.
Well, I want to also put out something. You said that there's like a record number of people holding multiple...
Is he drinking milk? Is he drinking milk on stream? Is this guy slurping milk on stream? Does he have an actual glass of milk that he's slurping on stream? Live on stream, he's drinking milk? Like, I love milk, okay? But I have never drunk milk on stream before. There's just some... I don't know, there's just something about it. Like, after I drink milk, I usually want to like rinse my mouth out or something, or maybe like brush my teeth if I'm going to be talking for a little while, because you know you have a little bit of the milk smell on your breath for some time. But like this is just crazy. There better be horchata. Horchata. Scoffs milk drinker. In like, oh, you can listen. You can drink milk. Like I said, I also drink milk. I'm just saying, in public, where I can see it, just like this, shameless. Kind of crazy. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Jobs. That's actually not true. Like the percentage of people.
No, I didn't say that. I said I didn't say that. I said that a large proportion of the new jobs being created. You know, when you see the jobs data, oh, we created 300,000 jobs this month or something. A large number of those are part-time positions, and they're from people that already have jobs. And we know this because we can look at the unemployment statistic. Right. If unemployment rises by 0.1,
17%,
but you created a shit ton of jobs, then
the H is silent. I'm not Mexican. Thank you.
Obviously, people are taking out second jobs. There's no other way to describe it.
There's also the population is rising. And what we're seeing, the best metric to look at unemployment is labor force participation rate, because it's like of the population, how many people have
Which is
jobs?
Also relatively low under Joe Biden.
And the prime age labor force participation rate, when you're looking at 25 to 54, which is the main thing people look at, because that's actually working age, is the lowest it has been since like 2001. It is very, very low. We did see during the pandemic, a lot of seniors left the workforce and retired, and a lot of those folks haven't come back, although some have.
That's true.
But like in terms of people 25 to 54, like
so it's almost like the point that he made was completely nonsensical. And so old people being able to retire and live out the rest of their lives with their family instead of like being a Walmart greeter is apparently not a good thing in Biden's America, I guess.
And just be those people who have jobs and full-time jobs, not part-time jobs, is very, very high.
And that's actually a good thing. The problem is that a lot of them are taking out the second part-time job, and that's where a lot of that job growth is coming in. They're taking those out to buy groceries, and if they can't find that second side hustle, they're taking out credit card debt. That normally, when credit card debt normally begins to skyrocket when the economy is really good and consumer confidence is high, because people say, well, I've got a thing going. It's morning in America again. I'm going to take out a credit card and buy the new dishwasher. I'll take out a credit card and I'll buy the new dryer or something like that. Right now, that's not what.
Something that's really interesting right now is that this Lev guy, the moderator, hasn't been able to bring up a single fact that supports anything that, like a single fact or article or piece of data that supports anything that Styx has been saying about the nature of the economy. But he's been able to pull up a couple about how Armand is actually correct and Styx's belly aching about fake problems is not actually real. So, I mean, he hasn't brought up a single fact here that I've been able to check that turned out to be true. I don't believe this one is going to be changing either. But here, I'll look it up. Let's actually look this one up because I'm a little interested in this one specifically. So here, he said
it's the lowest it has been since like the percentage
job, and that's where a lot of that job growth is coming in. They're taking those out to buy groceries, and if they can't find that second side hustle, they're taking out credit card debt. That normally, when credit card debt normally begins to skyrocket when the economy is really good and consumer confidence is high, because people say, well, I've got a thing going. It's morning in America again. I'm going to take out a credit card and buy the new dishwasher. I'll take out a credit card and I'll buy the new dryer or something like that. Right now, that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing people taking out credit card debt literally to buy groceries. I've had people message me about exactly that.
Wait, did he just say had people message me about exactly that? Is my guy unironically being like, who needs data? I have my Twitter DMs. People DM'd me telling me that they took out a second mortgage on their home to buy Cheetos at the store. Listen, is the economy perfect? No, we released a video about it yesterday that a lot of you didn't watch. You should have watched that video. It's a really good one. But no, I'm not going to use a YouTuber's DMs as evidence about how the economy is doing. I'm just not going to do that. I'm gonna be so honest with you. I'm not going to do that shit. But if we're going to say anything about like a multiple job participation, we do have a chart about this actually. So let's just take a look. We can take a look at this here. Okay. Do you see this chart? So this chart is about multiple job holders as a percentage of employed, which is actually pretty important. So he's saying that like the people with second jobs has skyrocketed to unprecedented levels. All right. Actually, up until December, it's been like people holding second jobs was highest in the last about 10 years, about 9 years under Donald Trump, right before the pandemic hit, actually. And so Biden Biden, when it comes to the unemployment rate, has just been slowly ticking back up to the rate that it was supposed to be at, like around the rate that it was supposed to be at back under Trump's presidency. So I don't know where he's bringing up this idea, Fred. I'm not sure where he's bringing up this idea that like 89% of people who are working, 89% of workers are working 2 jobs. They take out 17 mortgages on their home and they're panhandling outside of Walmart for like a loaf of bread to buy. Like, what do you talk? And it's all Joe Biden's fault. Fuck you, Biden. What does that mean? I'm gonna DM you as an anecdote, multiply it by hundreds. Thank you. Thank you. I needed this.
I mean, that is definitely happening. Well, you have to, that's always, you know, I don't.
How's that a Biden accomplishment?
Well, I don't want to pretend here and say that people aren't struggling.
Well, Biden hasn't completely fixed. Biden hasn't abolished the economy. Checkmate, liberal. My bad. Biden hasn't abolished poverty. Checkmate, liberal. You ever think about that? He didn't do it. That piece of shit didn't do it, and I hate him for it. He could have just pressed the fix economy and make it perfect button. It's right there on his desk. In almost 4 years, he just decided not to. Biden hasn't totally fixed Trump's disastrous policies. Checkmate, liberal. So freaking true. Dude, Amon's getting owned, chat.
Of course, people are struggling.
There you go.
I never want to dismiss or diminish anybody. What we're talking about is like, what has a person done as president to make things better rather than worse? If you're measured for...
Well, then name something. So far, I haven't heard anything.
If your measure for a good president is that nobody has ever struggled ever, then no president has ever been good.
No, that's perfectly fine. Some people always struggle. I already have. But when everyone is struggling, like under Joe Biden,
Also, does this moderator do anything? Like, Styx has cut Amand off like every other time he opens his mouth. And Guy has done nothing.
Say that's an unqualified failure.
The amount of people are making, like in real terms, like when you're talking about extra wages, taking into account inflation, real wage growth has been grown faster than it has been in decades.
I'm glad that people that make $500,000 a year are doing so well.
Well, I said earlier that actually the incomes are rising fastest for the people in the bottom 25%. You're actually saying that like lower class.
It's wonderful that the poor are a little bit less poor.
Are making more.
Bro, okay, he's debating like a child. He's a grown man. What are you 40 or something? Yes, it is actually good that the poor are less poor. I don't know. Oh, chat, do you think this is one of his like partisan accomplishments that he was talking about earlier? Only you have to be a shitty liberal to think that poor people being less poor is an accomplishment.
The poor, the working class, the middle class, like those folks are making more money now than they have been.
No, they're not.
When you're taking into account higher prices.
Wait,
No, they're not.
How do we find that out? Armand, you're saying one thing, Styx, you're saying another. Armand, where are you getting your data from? And
Post the goddamn stats, dude.
Sure.
No, finish your sentence. Styx, where are you getting yours? Because he isn't. Because what he mean, his stats are his Twitter DMs. His Twitter DMs and YouTube comment section. That's what he means by stats that he has right now, okay? I really wish he would have finished his sentence and be like, Styx, where are you getting your data? Bro would have been like, it was revealed to me in a dream.
All right, and while Armand is posting it, I want to remind everybody, make sure to like, subscribe, and so on and so forth. And
you should do that if you're watching on YouTube right now. And if you're watching on Twitch as well, you can hit the subscribe button, be a part of the frenzy. And if you're a white name in the site chat, you can be a part of the frenzy too, partner. Don't be scared.
And I do want to move on to the next one while these stats are being found over here. And maybe we can even start with Styx's first and get your opinion on this passage of the IRA, which is the biggest climate bill in U.S. history and has already led to an explosion in clean energy manufacturing. So, Armand, right now you're looking at the statistics for the employment. Styx, I don't know if you want to comment on the IRA.
With regards to green energy, that's basically just a bunch of cash to China. All that means is that you get more Chinese lithium.
Even though some of the largest solar panel and clean energy manufacturing in the world happens here in the United States, and Biden has actually invested in that, and that's been a good thing too. So, but I mean, whatever.
You lease out more land.
Fuck Chinese people, am I right?
And that could be fallow. You could grow trees there and stuff for solar farms for the Chinese to develop when you could be putting it up on the sides of buildings. I support solar energy development. I think it's a great idea. I just think that it should be on existing structures. And I don't know why we're investing in solar fields when we could do that. Invest in individuals and communities. That's perfectly fine. I don't see it as a win to gobble up 1 million acres of land, which would have, it would have, turtles on it or something like that, like at the Bundy Ranch that they tried to confiscate there.
The
and then the
bison
Bundys stood against them and got found not guilty of all crimes. And what did they do with that? The environmental court came in and said that there was an endangered tortoise that was living there. And then afterwards, they turned it into a Chinese solar farm, actually.
So, Armand, we can circle back Jen Psaki.
A Chinese solar farm, dude. You walk up to the solar farm, it goes, ni hao. Ni hao. Oh, great Beijing solar farm. Give your wisdom to me. Ni hao.
Style to the stats when you're looking them
Don't
up.
you be circling back, Matt. God damn.
But I do want to move on to the climate question right now. So would you have any response to what Six just said?
Sure.
Yes.
I think it's a basic misunderstanding of how the IR works. If anything, actually, one of the reasons like Joe Manchin, who's like not a lover of clean energy by any means, like a big advocate for it, is because he understood that in order to compete with China, the United States needs to take a leadership role in building clean energy. The IR specifically has tons of requirements that say that you have to use like resources and inputs and investments made in the United States. There's a reason, for example, why we had 27% increase under Biden of manufacturing spending, which is something that Trump kept saying he was going to do. It didn't happen. The reason it's happening in the United States now is because of the IRA.
You guys remember when Donald Trump said that he was going to bring back manufacturing, and manufacturing left the country at the fastest rate ever? Oh, that shit was so good, man. It was wild. Yeah, that one was like super crazy, if I'm going to be honest with you. And then Biden actually did it. Crazy stuff. I think the CHIPS Act helped a lot with that too.
You're seeing, for example, like Japan, there's this controversy because Japan is trying to buy U.S. steel. It's like, why are they buying U.S. steel? Because the only reason they'd be eligible for those tax credits is if they're made by American workers, made in the United States. They're bringing tons and tons of investment for it. We've seen battery factories going up around the United States. We've seen, for example, in California, there's a recent discovery of like a huge lithium deposit. The only reason
that was Idaho, I believe, actually.
No, there's one in the Idaho too, but there's also one in the Salton Sea in California or something like
that's
that.
Good.
And there's like one that processing plant they're setting up like in the Nevada border. It's specifically because the IRA has like percentage, like first year like 25%, then goes up to 50, but it's like requirements for sourcing based in the United States, and it's bringing back a lot of manufacturing that was previously overseas in the United States. And the truth is, like the rest.
Can you post your stats that back up your opinion? Sure. I would love to move on to an entirely different subject. Yeah, I think the reason is because I think Stick said he has like a single hour. And so they have to stick to a strict schedule because he's just going to leave the call whenever he wants. So he's trying to get the debate out.
China's already producing tons and tons of solar panels. Africa's buying it. Europe is buying it. Like we can either sit back and pretend like the clean energy revolution is not happening, or we can try to compete and be a leader in it. And that's what the IRA's done. In terms of land use, yeah, I think like one of the downsides of solar energy is that it does require a lot more land. However, it is largely not being like, if anything, I would say, frankly, like wasn't being used for a long time. It's not like natural environments or anything like that, because this.
I just think that it should be built on existing structures. See the largest growth based on their initial tile. I just think that it should be built on existing structures. By the way, I looked through this link that you posted from Marketplace, and what I would say in response is, yes, people making a very small amount of money, if their wages increase by a larger percentile, yes, they're going to see the largest growth based on their initial wage. That doesn't have anything to do with purchasing power. This article does not make it clear that they're even referring to purchasing power. It's talking about the fact that this is surprising because we actually saw jobs at the bottom fall the most at the onset of the pandemic, said Andre Dube, an economics professor at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, who co-authored the paper. Young people with no college degree who are working in those jobs in restaurants and hospitality have gotten the biggest pay increases in the last 3 years, he said. But you're not adjusting for whether it's a ratio or an absolute number. So if I'm making $15 an hour and I start making $20 an hour, that's a pretty good pay increase. Yeah, that's great. Meanwhile, someone who's making $1,000 an hour starts making $1,100 an hour. Adjusted, if you're looking at the ratio, they got less of a pay increase. This does not even fix for whether it's a rational number or not. It's completely useless. Yeah, what you're talking about is the people at the bottom who already were making almost nothing, not even starvation wages, had the largest pay increase, but it doesn't even talk about whether it's an absolute number or not. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. That's all we get.
That's not what the paper says. The paper says that it's adjusted for inflation, which means it's not just.
That's irrelevant. No, that part is irrelevant.
Okay.
They're making more money than they were before, and they're making it faster rates than they were before. Like
I would seriously question whether that's a peer-reviewed paper.
It's a peer-reviewed paper. Okay. Actually, what you're reading is actually your idea is wrong. I bet the paper isn't peer-reviewed. What are you talking about? I don't know. There's this from the Department of the Treasury. Real wages across the income distribution. Biden-Harris policies over the past 3 years have contributed to strong wage growth and wage growth that has outpaced inflation. Support for labor unions and strong economic growth has served to create an economy that has strengthened workers' voices. Blah, blah, blah. As a result, earnings have outpaced increases in prices, such that real wages have increased since before the pandemic. Real weekly earnings for the median worker grew 1.7% between 2019 and 2023. This means that 1 week of pay for the median worker now buys more than a week of pay did in 2019, despite higher prices. Furthermore, as Figure 1 shows, the increases in earnings are by no means concentrated at the top. In fact, they skew towards. Thank you, Biden. In fact, they skew towards the middle and lower end of the income distribution. The 25th percentile of the wage distribution saw their nominal weekly earnings grow by $143 from $661 to $754 in 2023. When adjusted for inflation, this amounts to a 3.2 increase in real earnings. Real earning increases were particularly strong for the median Black, Hispanic households, who saw increases of 5.7 and 2.9 respectively. 25th percentile, 3.2, median, 0.7, 75th percentile, 1.1. Not only is the level of real earnings higher than before the pandemic, but shown in Figure 2, the growth of real wages is faster over the past 12 months than it was during the pre-pandemic expansion. Domain expansion, especially for production and supervisory workers, continue robust growth. Okay, all workers, non-supervised. Yeah, that do be rising. That part's true. Rising purchasing power of the median worker. Okay, yeah, all this seems about true. I don't know. Hello. Yeah, all this, yeah. Or all of this seems to back up what Armin is saying, that things. The percentage has grown. I mean, when the economy grows, the people who are the richest usually grow a lot more, just by raw numbers. Does he think that you can make an economy where, like, Joe, who works at 5-Star in Idaho, is able to have an income earning higher year over year than Jeff Bezos? Is that possible? I don't know. I think it'd be great if it'd be possible. I don't think it's possible. I just don't think that's, like, possible at all. But okay, that's what he has to say. Then, like, socialism to me, Shark? Yeah, I don't think he likes that stuff, unfortunately.
You do your own grocery shopping. Don't have cognitive dissonance. It's okay to acknowledge the fact that Bidenflation exists and that.
This is so interesting because I saw people like John Doyle say this. You guys remember that debate that John Doyle had with Hunter Avallone, where Hunter was like, here's stats, here's data, here's statistics, here's like proof that what you're saying isn't real. And Doyle was just like, use your eyes, buddy. Common sense will tell you that the stats aren't real. Just like, go outside. Look at the trees. You'll know that that's not true. Dude, you have a bank account. It obviously is wrong. Why would the Bureau of Labor Statistics know more about the economy than you? Because you are the economy. Because you have a bank account, dude. Like, come on. You obviously know that Biden pressed the increase prices button on Twinkies and Funko Pops because he did. Because you have a bank account, dude. The economy died, traditional family died, wages died. You miss one? The white man died as well, and the country will follow suit soon after. L Biden, L Biden. The trees do be looking mad inflated to me. Everything's inflated, dude. And it's all Biden's fault. I just think it's really interesting how when like these conservative minded people, these people who are more sympathetic to conservative, leaning politics, are way more likely when backed into a corner to just be like, I'm like smarter than the stats, dude, because I like have a bank account and I have a YouTube account, and people on YouTube tell me that like the stats are wrong. So you're wrong. instead of just being like, I guess I was wrong on that point. Instead of just going like, I guess I could be wrong on that point, or it really doesn't. He could have just said it really doesn't feel like it, right? Or he could have brought up the idea of greedflation going on and how businesses are profiting more than they ever have been, but still laying off like a huge chunk of workers right now. Right, you could talk about that. You could talk about how businesses are implementing surge pricing and in inflationary like surge pricing and increasing prices just because they can, not be just because they can, and people are spending more, and not because like things actually cost more. Like genuinely, they just want more money out of you. You can talk about that. You can talk about how companies are using surveillance capitalism to be able to charge you as much as possible. But instead of that, he's just like, I went to Walmart and things feel expensive. So everything feels so bad. It feels bad. So it has to be. So Biden must have done nothing. Okay.
Things cost a shit ton more than they did a few years ago.
And more people, and more likely than not, you're making more than you did a couple years ago. It's actually just vibe-based politics.
You can still think that Biden is a good dude and love him and want to vote for him and everything else, while admitting to what everyone else already knows.
I know the prices have gone higher. Nobody is denying the prices have gone higher, but the truth is that people are making more money now, even with
of course, because it's inflated. They have to make more.
No, but they're making more money.
What? Does he not know what the term real wages means?
After you account for inflation, this is 100% his peer-reviewed paper. This is like Dubé's like one was, frankly, best economist in the profession. And every
so is Paul Krugman, supposedly. Yeah. You'll excuse me if I don't.
I don't.
You are arguing your.
I don't care who that is.
It's like not a matter of contention or dispute that like wages are rising faster than inflation in particular.
Wait, this is one of those partisan accomplishments that he was talking about earlier. He doesn't care, so it's not a real accomplishment. As long as he personally doesn't care, it's not a real accomplishment, okay? Because not the entire country agrees. So as long as he personally doesn't care, he can always stop Biden from having an accomplishment. It's crazy how it works out, but it's so true.
Like in the last, I would say, year after
the problem is that you have people that are making a really large amount of money and people that are making a little.
I will say it is a little funny how he's calling him delusional and basically insinuating that he's in like a Biden cult or something and can't say that Biden's done anything wrong. While bro is actually wearing a Trump hat. I don't think this guy owns a single piece of Biden memorabilia. Just like normal people.
Amount of money. And so if people in the upper middle class and above are doing well.
But you keep saying that that's actually not true. Like the difference between this economy and the Trump economy, and the economy, frankly,
is that the Trump economy works.
You gotta let him finish.
The people making the most money and whose growth was happening the fastest were the richest people. That has changed. Like,
no, it hasn't.
Changed. And the proof for that
based politics
is that income inequality is declining for the first time in decades.
Okay, income and wealth are not the same thing, and the super rich, they're not measured in their income. They're measured in their assets. They're measured in their assets.
So under Trump, wealth inequality skyrocketed.
Trust me, the rich love the inflation rate because their yachts become worth exactly the amount of the inflation.
What? Bro, what is he yapping about, dude? What's happening? He really is Captain Yapperton. What is he saying? What does this mean? What is this even supposed to mean? What does that have to do with anything? Okay, then stop giving them tax cuts. Trump failed in that. Goes on to nothing. Okay, dude. I don't know, let's try and take 2022. Let's like wealth inequality. Okay, let's see. How's wealth distribution changed over time? I mean, there's this. We have this chart. Okay. Top 20% income quintile held about 71% of America's wealth at the end of 2022, or about $97 trillion. Good golly, Miss Molly. You ever think about how we're all just like unimaginably poor? Look at that. That shit's crazy. Anyways, I mean, since 2020, there's a bump up there. There's a bump up there. There's a bump up here for these types of people. And there's the top 20%. They got more, while the top 1% got a bit less. So yeah, I mean, over time, since Biden's presidency, like he got in quarter one, it was 26%, and still 26%, but it's a lower 26%. Yeah, it is a lower 26%. So the top 1% has taken wealth. Biden has enacted 0.6% communism in the United States. Thank you, Biden. Very cool. We can take a look at the middle. Quarter one, 2021, it was 7.1, and now it's 7.3. So it also went up. Not like by a crazy amount, but it did absolutely go up. Okay. So me when I lie again.
That what?
Wait, Armand, do you agree or disagree?
No. Let me try to explain. There's a difference between the amount of money you have. Like, for instance, let's see, I have so much about $100 in my wallet. That $100 buys a certain number of candy bars. 10 years from now, who knows how many candy bars it'll buy? But if I roll that over into a tangible asset, something of numismatic value, a physical object, so it doesn't matter what it is, a bar of gold, a yacht, a car, it doesn't matter. If inflation happens, then that price tends to inflate as well. That's the difference. Wealth versus the amount of money you have. And so what you're talking about is a bunch of rich people that are doing very, very well, and the poor getting peanuts. Yeah, okay, the wages are outpacing the inflation, finally. But the problem is that for about 2 years, that didn't. They lost wealth for 2 years.
One, like the wealthiest people in the
lost wealth for 2 years? How? Okay, wait. Oh, and earlier in this, he basically admitted that at the beginning of the presidency, it has nothing to do with the president that's in office. So why in the world would you bring that as like that was Biden's fault when he barely passed any policy yet? So something bad happened out of his control, and he did something good about it. That's what we call an accomplishment. What? He didn't completely fix the issue? Like, is that what you're telling me?
United States have seen like wealth inequality has started to decline under Biden. It increased under Trump because he gave a massive tax cut. Secondly,
I loved his tax cut.
True that rich people.
I know you did, Biden, rich ass.
Or like really loved inflation and like wanted to keep Biden. It wouldn't be the case.
Crazy thing. Spent all this time pretending to cap for the middle class, and then Biden, and then Trump's tax cuts. Okay, that chat. Do I have anybody in here who got a smaller tax return this year compared to other years? Because I know like my girlfriend and some of my friends I was talking to them, and they're like, dude, what happened to my tax returns? They were like, it's the first time I've ever had to pay taxes, right? Like they didn't even know that was possible, that they had to pay taxes. Okay. And you know why that happened? Because of Donald Trump, those tax cuts. This whole time he's like, oh, but Donald Trump is so good for like the normal American, the middle class. And then his tax cuts make it so that you don't get a tax return. And then he's like, dude, I love that shit. Was so fucking good, dude. I'm like a millionaire, and I made even more money, dude. This shit was so sick. After pretending to care about like the bottom 25% the entire time for this debate, dude, get the fuck out of here, man. Get out of here, man.
Case that the Davos that and Jane Dimon and all the billionaires are coming out trying to get Trump reelected.
They're not.
Like, yes, they are.
They absolutely
no bullshit. Are. They're either supporting Biden or Nikki Haley right now.
Wait, but didn't Jamie Dimon?
Trump's campaign is half broke.
No, but Six, didn't Jamie Dimon say something?
That's his own fault. Trump's campaign is half broke. Okay, he spent his money poorly. Whose fault is that?
Thing positive about Trump recently? I'm gonna look it up.
That Donald Trump has far higher individual contributions to his campaign than Biden has ever had, or any Democrat usually has ever had.
Specifically came out at Davos and was like, oh, Trump's right on immigration, all this stuff, which he doesn't believe.
Well, he is right on immigration. I would agree with him.
Yeah, but Jamie Dimon doesn't give a shit about that. He said the opposite.
Okay, you're naming one person. Who did the Koch brothers back? It was Nikki Haley.
Yeah, are the Koch brothers going to give to Biden? No, they actually
probably will.
Nikki Haley. They've never done that, and they never will. They don't give.
They would back Biden probably before they'll back Trump.
They just cut off Nikki Haley, and they're going to support Trump in 2024. Like,
well, I mean, I appreciate
just like how they cut off
their
DeSantis
support, but you know, it'll be definitely they didn't do that on the front end, did they?
Cares? What did Chet? Did you keep up with how he completely backed off of his point here? So it was rich people support Donald Trump because Donald Trump does the bidding of rich people. Nuh-uh, no, he doesn't. He told they totally love Biden or Nikki Haley. Well, they gave money to Nikki Haley, but now they're giving money to Trump, just like they did in 2016. Well, okay, but like it's late. They should have given money sooner. He deserves it. I love him. I love you, Trump. That's him gagging on him. But like how do you back off your point so bad here? Okay, whatever.
Well, just so we understand each other then, Armand, are you agreeing or disagreeing with Styx about wages versus assets as far as the rich people being okay?
Well, frankly, he's very wrong, because like what happened under the Trump administration is because of the massive Trump tax credits, which went overwhelmingly for the richest people and for corporations, which is true. This is just math. You can look at it. Like the vast majority of that money,
super rich YouTuber hasn't worked a normal job in forever laughs at the idea of poor people being worse off after he championed a tax cut that only made him money. Okay.
Money went to incredibly rich people. People make billions of dollars.
Yes, because they pay more taxes.
Corporations. Yeah, but also disproportionately.
Yeah, because they own all the money. Yes, the people who pay all the taxes own all the money. Yes, this is such a weird. Do you ever you hear this conservative talking point? How it's like, oh, dude, the left is always so angry. They're always so mad and they're so jealous about rich people because rich people are like constantly paying all the taxes. And they're like, oh, you should pay more taxes. Bro, they pay all the taxes. They have all the money. He literally talked about how less than 10 minutes ago, how rich people have all the money. Yes, they pay all the taxes because they have all the money. They have all the money. Poor people and middle class people own like 20% of the wealth in the entire country. Yes, you should pay more. Even